Enter at PCH.com. $7,000 a week for life. Last chance. Enter now at PCH.com.
Entries due 4/28. No purchase necessary. Void or prohibited.
Is your current home loan the right fit for you? Rising home values mean that you could have more home equity than you might imagine. And if you're considering a refi, an expertly chosen loan from Loan Depot could save you thousands. Ask about their smart term loans, cash out, and over 300 loan options to find just the right mortgage loan for you. Call now, 866-888-LOAN, or go to LoanDepot.com. Loan Depot, where home means everything. Rates are subject to change. Equal housing opportunity lender. NMLS number 174457. Licensed in all 50 states.
And now award-winning local news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 6:03. We are expecting another nice day today. It's going to be chilly once again. Widespread frost this morning, then sunshine. Our high only around 57 degrees. Rain in the forecast late tonight. More on that in a moment. And the overnight low around 45 degrees. Good morning, everyone. Here's some of the stories we are working on for you in this 6 o'clock hour. We'll begin with that breaking news story, a deadly home invasion in Fulton. One man dead. Another person wounded and a woman beaten.
A Fulton man is dead after a home invasion Monday night. Officers found two men with gunshot wounds. The 58-year-old victim died at a Columbia hospital. The 33-year-old man shot is recovering after being hit in the leg. Investigators say the shooter attacked a woman before shooting the men. It happened on West 9th Street in Fulton. So far, no one's been arrested. John Marsh, 93.9 The Eagle.
John, thank you. Meantime, the Missouri State Highway Patrol is also now involved in that investigation. Anyone with information can call the Callaway County Crime Stoppers number. Meantime, court documents obtained by 93.9 The Eagle say that a Jefferson City man who is charged with the Easter Sunday shooting in downtown Columbia has 3 prior convictions for possession of marijuana. He is 20-year-old Victor Arriaga. He is charged with first-degree assault and armed criminal action for the shooting. It happened at the busy 9th and Cherry intersection. Columbia Police's probable cause statement says he used a Glock with a flashlight and laser attached to it. CPD officers found blood in a jacket in the intersection. The jacket had a bullet hole in it. He's quoted in the court documents as telling CPD officers it was all, and this is a direct quote here, all in self-defense, man, end of quote. He's jailed without bond. Columbia now officially has a new mayor and a new 4th Ward councilman. Mayor Barbara Buffalo, Councilman Nick Foster sworn in late Monday afternoon. Mayor Buffalo says she'll listen to residents as mayor, will make decisions based on the facts. A bill providing a $15,000 appropriation to temporarily extend tower operating hours at Columbia Regional Airport has been first read by the council. This all has to do with Taxiway A's reconstruction. It's set to begin this summer. Aircraft will be required to back taxi in order to take off and land for 90 days. The funding aimed at enhancing safety for commercial aircraft during the project. Ashland area residents and motorists driving near Columbia Regional Airport will notice a lot of first responders at COU today for an emergency training exercise. City officials say the volunteers will be reenacting a plane crash, a simulated plane crash, while the emergency personnel practice response exercise today is from 4 until 7. You'll see a lot of activity around the road as well. Mike Parks will join us live after our 6:30 newscast, talk about what's happening out at the airport. The Ashland area community has already raised $2.4 million of its $3 million campaign goal for the new Rankin Technical College campus. Rankin President Don Pohl tells 93.9 The Eagle that Rankin has incorporated life skills into its curriculum. That includes work ethic and showing up on time.
We've already had graduates who've met the technical education requirements. They've passed all the general education classes, but because they did not meet that work ethic requirement, they didn't graduate from Rankin. That's how serious we take it.
He says this is industry-driven. The Ashland campus will be built next to Salter Lawn Service, and it's expected to open by the fall of 2023. Speaking of the Rankin project, AB Chance, which is a huge employer, biggest employer in Centralia, they're donating $250,000 to the project. They say it will help build a trained workforce. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you in the 6 o'clock hour by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning, airserve.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:06. Turning Turning our attention now to sports. The Cardinals and the Royals were both idle yesterday, so no baseball scores to report this morning of either team today. They are back in action tonight. We'll start with the Royals. They're opening up. Should be a nice night tonight in Kansas City. We hope they can get it in because there's going to be rain maybe towards the end of the game. It'll start nice, though. It'll be cold. The Royals and the Twins, 7:10 Kauffman Stadium. Cardinals don't have anything to worry about with the weather. It'll be nice tonight in Florida. They're in Miami taking on the Marlins. Adam Wainwright getting the start tonight in Miami. First pitch 5:40 right here on 93.9 The Eagle, your home for Cardinal baseball. Our sports is brought to you this hour by Witt Print Shop, where your printed products are so much more than ink and paper. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:07. John, thank you. And our weather brought to you by Steve's Pest Control, stevespestcontrol.com. Sunrise this morning, 6:27, 32 degrees. Traffic check, midmohires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. Midmohires.com. It is 6:08, 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com. There will be road work continuing today on the Highway 63 project between Jefferson City and Columbia. They were working overnight up around the Bass Pro Shop area on Highway 63. That work continues up and down Highway 63 today and for the next few months. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
I take that with heart, and I take that with conviction to work hard and continue to support our community so that everybody has that ability to live a satisfied life, as Ian said, Darwin would say, but also, just the ability to thrive.
So the city they put a ring on it. Barbara Buffalo sworn in as the new mayor. First new mayor we've had in 6 years in Columbia. She was sworn in last night as the new mayor. Nick Foster, who reps the 4th Ward, now endorsed by Ian Thomas. By the way, 6:35. I hope you join us at 6:35. And I'm trying to be as honest as I can here. Here's why. Because I get it. I know people get triggered whenever we talk about Josh Hawley or Eric Greitens and anything that might be negative. We get emails and texts. Oh, you're talking about my boy Eric Greitens or Josh Hawley. These people get triggered. And I get triggered too sometimes. I don't like to use the word triggered. Barbara Buffalo called it. She said, Branden, are you triggered that I'm the mayor in Columbia? Fun exchange. She was on the show last week. You can check it out on the Wake Up Columbia On Demand podcast on our website or wherever you download your favorite podcast.
She is a lot of fun. I mean, obviously you and her disagree on probably most of the big issues, but she's just fun about it. Like, she's not a jerk, and you guys can disagree in a respectful way.
And that is so huge right now. I really believe that when it comes to our messaging. As a matter of fact, and I might do this now instead of doing it later, The Atlantic, about a year ago, they came out with an article talking about, and think about this, millennials and Generation Z, within a few years, they will be the largest voting bloc in America. They will surpass the baby boomers. They will surpass my Gen X, Brian Hauswirth and I, and Gen Xers. And these millennials and Generation Zs, they will surpass us in the voting blocks. They will. Those are facts. Because people die. And then some people turn 18 and they get to vote. And that's why I think messaging and how we handle our business as conservative, independent libertarians are smart people. I think it is so important right now. As a matter of fact, my presentation, the Boone County Lincoln Days, a couple of weeks ago almost, that was what I talked about, messaging. And I talk about it here on the show. It's the messaging. We don't have to go and beat up the other side and win our arguments. Our arguments are easy to win, by the way. because they don't use facts. For example, CRT, well, you got to have the facts of the history and stuff. But meanwhile, Apple puts out emojis with pregnant dudes. Listen, pregnant dudes, that's not a fact. But the progressives all over, oh, look, they're so inclusive. Pregnant dude emojis on the, that's not a fact. There is no such thing as a pregnant man. A man cannot get pregnant. That's not a fact. But then you say, but the facts in CRT. So it's stupid. They don't make sense. And we don't have to use names like stupid and all that like I just did. We can,
you got a little triggered right after you said that you don't.
I'm going to go to my safe space and let Hannah and Brian do the show this morning.
No. Sorry, your safe space needs to be your little studio right there.
But I don't want to be here.
At least until 9 o'clock, then I don't care what you do.
I don't like being uncomfortable, Hannah. I don't like the way it makes me feel.
I'm sorry.
I feel bad. I don't like this, and it's everybody else's fault. I take no responsibility.
I think you need to suck it up.
For how I feel or act. I'm not responsible because it's everybody else triggering me.
I sure don't want to be responsible for your actions.
Where was I? Criticizing Democrats? Yeah, that's where. Criticizing. And I'm not criticizing Democrats, but the voter bloc, the younger generation, there's a lot of people milling around outside the tents, okay? There was an article in The Atlantic about a year ago talking about the people of mine and Hauswirth's generation and the baby boomers. We will no longer be in the majority when it comes to registered voters. It's going to be these younger people right now this morning going, man, I regret voting for Joe Biden. I really do. Everything they said was going to happen has happened, and we look bad. They're looking around, and this is a golden opportunity as smart people to say, here's how we vote, here's what we believe in, here's how we do things. And I believe if we handle this nicely, I believe a lot of those people that are undecided or regretful Dems are going to go, yeah, you know what? You guys believe in the same things I believe in, and I believe in some of the same things you believe in, and y'all ain't crazy like the Dems. Defund the police. Dudes who are pregnant. You want to be a chick? You can be a chick even if you're a dude. They're realizing that stuff. They're like, they sobered up. And they're like, my God, what the hell was I thinking? That's what they're doing right now, and that's why this is really a great time. So, by the way, one of the things we are going to be covering this morning, I will do this at 7:10 as long as Hannah reminds me. So it's great about these
Remember the whole I don't want to be responsible for your actions thing.
7:10, I do want to cover this because there's polling that's happening with millennials and Generation Z folks, and they're saying, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a progressive. So there's a golden opportunity. And I think this relationship that we have with Mayor Barbara Buffalo, she knows that we don't agree. I know that we don't agree. But it doesn't mean two things. It doesn't mean that we don't have her on the show to inform the public. And number two, it doesn't mean that we can't get along. There are some things, people who believe in super crazy stuff, I'm not going to do that. But I hope that the relationship that we have with Columbia's new mayor, Barbara Buffalo, I hope it will show that, listen, even though we all disagree on some of these things, man, we can still get along, and we might even attract people.
Well, and I think Stephanie was saying this yesterday. If you don't have conversations with people that you disagree with, you never learn and grow.
Or evolve.
Or evolve.
Yeah, any of that stuff. I mean, think about this. Let's say you're, 57. And you're thinking, man, when I was younger, I used to believe this, and that. And then what happens? You get older. You get smarter. Just by virtue of experience, you automatically get wiser. You talk to people, things change. And that's what we can do with Barbara Buffalo. Ronnie, via text 874-9390. I'm trying to say people with stupid thinking instead of stupid people. I like that. Ronnie, thank you. Because, seriously, not trying to, we can criticize the ideas and the policy. For example, it'd be easier. Did you see what happened at the White House yesterday? The big guy, a reporter starts, and he's just kind of, this is during the Easter egg celebration thing.
Oh, of course.
And Joe's walking around, and a reporter, and he's walking around kind of aimlessly. There's video out there. You can watch it. Don't take my word for it. The reporter starts asking about Pakistan and Afghanistan. Joe starts answering the question. somebody has to come to the rescue and kind of like, oh, Joe, come on over here. It's obvious. Without even knowing what's going on, watching the video, it's obvious. Joe is being wished away, and we know why, because we have context. We know he's being wished away because a lot of times he opens his mouth and his stupid thinking gets him into trouble, gets our country into trouble, and gets all of us into trouble.
I wonder what those meetings are like for his handlers. Now, if somebody asks the president about X, Y, or Z, get him out of there.
Give him the hook. Pull him out. And the person who did the rescuing yesterday, who came over and got the president, I'm thinking, okay, was it Jen Psaki, Kamala Harris? Was it a high-ranking, unnamed aide? You know who it was that had to come and rescue Biden away from that line of questioning from that reporter at the White House yesterday? The Easter Bunny.
No.
Seriously, when you get a chance, you got to go and find this video. It's not out of context. I would play audio, but the audio is not very good because everybody was at a distance. Joe's just talking to a reporter. Well, Afghanistan and Pakistan, and the Easter Bunny's like, oh, crap. I'm not quoting the Easter Bunny there, but that's what I envision was happening in the Easter Bunny's head. The Easter Bunny, because the Easter Bunny's got a big smiley face and walks around goofy. It's not like an aide with a frown on its face with an emergency look in their eyes. It's the Easter Bunny coming over. Hey, Joe, you shouldn't be talking about policy. But I'm the president. We know you're the president. Hoo, hoo, hoo. The Easter Bunny had to rescue Joe from a line of questioning by the reporter. One of the things I do want to highlight coming up 6:35, we're going to be chatting with Mike Parks, Columbia Regional Airport. Big deal yesterday when it comes to masks. Thank God. We're going to talk to him about that. Big exercise happening today. A lot of people cruising up and down 63 are going to notice this. He's here at 6:35, and I also want to highlight some comments. Listen, I'm serious. I have nice comments from everybody at the Columbia City Council meeting last night, congratulating Treese and Thomas on their years of service to the city of Columbia, and it's a love fest, and they're giving out gifts and stuff. And I was prepared to let everything go at that. Ian Thomas. And we've had some interesting conversations over the years. I think the last time we ever talked to him, we were talking about bike trails or something. And here's what the city councilman said to me several years ago. He said, well, I've got a lot of people coming up and saying they want more bike lanes and they want this and they want that. And I'm hearing it left and right. I get emails. And I asked him, Mr. Thomas, is that mostly from your friends? It's from a lot of people. It's from a lot of people in the community. Ian, is it from your bike group, your personal? And he acquiesced. Well, yeah, it's a lot of my bike friends. And that's, really the only thing besides his policies and all that stuff. And last night, going out, he just said a bunch of untrue stuff about racism and how because I'm white and he's white, we get these, fringe benefits. This isn't an FWB relationship, man. Things because we're white, we get fringe benefits, all that, and that's fine. It's his beliefs. But what he said about people like you and me, and there is, as far as I know, no legal, and there should be some kind of, I think, legal recourse for what Ian Thomas did at last night's city council meeting. Incredibly disgusting for somebody, a politician on his way out, to use this public forum to do something that was absolutely no good for the city of Columbia, no good for you. It was a personal thing. No business in a city council meeting. And this guy did it. It's sad. It really is. And that's where we are. So yesterday on the show, this was one of the big things. Church group on an airplane, breaking out and singing Christian songs 35,000 feet above sea level. Ilhan Omar took exception because they weren't singing Muslim songs or whatever. Today, on a plane, cheers. I got that. It's actual audio from folks on an airplane. They're getting on, and they're in masks. And all of a sudden, the pilot comes on. Ladies and gentlemen, a judge appointed by Trump, incidentally, has just ruled that these mask orders from the CDC on airplanes and mass transit are not legal. Those people on the airplane cheering as they heard that. One of the things we are going to ask Mike Parks about today, 635 Columbia Regional Airport. What does that do for us? You read the language, it's pretty simple. CDC cannot. A judge that says, no, what you're doing here, you cannot do this. Coming up, we're going to be doing the daily DC rundown here on 93.9. The Eagle Border Patrol has stopped 23 of these particular types of people.
Wake up Columbia with an eye on the world and a focus on you. 93.9 The Eagle.
An atrocity that we have a president of the United States that is not securing the border. We have a president who is turning a blind eye to a security-based issue by allowing people on the terrorist watch list to come into the United States of America, and those were the ones who were apprehended.
23 people on the terrorist watch list coming across the border. That gets us into today's Daily DC Rundown. I'm Branden Rathert in for Stephanie Powell. She'll be here tomorrow. So this is important. People say, well, you're against illegal immigration because the people are brown. No, we're against illegal immigration because it costs you a lot of money. It wreaks havoc for the people that actually live along the border. Americans living along the border, they're dealing with that crap every day. Oh, yeah, and the other thing, we have people on terrorist watch lists. They go to Mexico and cross the border because they know the border is so poor. So it's not, well, they're brown people. And that's something we should be telling people. We have 23 that we've caught, by the way. God knows how many got through. People on the terrorist watch list because of Biden's weakness at the border. They've come in, they were caught trying to come into our country to commit acts of terror. Meanwhile, this morning, as you and I sit here and talk at 628 on 93.9 The Eagle, a 7th bus is going to D.C., something the Texas Governor Greg Abbott started recently. One of the other things that we revealed yesterday, obviously, Jen Psaki in the White House, it's a publicity stunt, it's this and that. Greg Abbott telling Sean Hannity, I'm hoping Sean Hannity will cover this coming up 2 o'clock this afternoon here on 93.9 The Eagle. But these Texas towns specifically where they're taking the immigrants from and then taking them to Washington, D.C., Border Patrol agents no longer taking illegal immigrants whose first act in trying to come to America was breaking the law. They're not dropping them off in these small towns anymore. So those towns that have to deal with the influx of people, they're not having to deal with that anymore. So it doesn't sound like it's a publicity stunt. It sounds like what the governor of Texas is doing, it sounds like it's working. And if it's working, it's not a publicity stunt. By the way, Psaki and Ducey have been good to us. We have another Psaki v. Ducey episode coming up at 7:50 this morning here on 93.9 The Eagle, coming up here at 6:35. What happened at last night's city council meeting and masks in our local airport with Mike Parks, director of the Columbia Regional Airport.
That check of weather brought to you by Steve's Pest Control. Call them today for a no-cost evaluation. Steve'sPestControl.com.
Fox News. I'm Lillian Wu. Russian forces intensify attacks along parts of eastern Ukraine after inflicting its first wartime deaths Monday in Lviv.
7 people dead. And now the president here, Zelensky in Ukraine, is warning that this entire country should be prepared for what Western intelligence officials have been warning about, Russia's major second phase of this war in the east.
Fox's Matt Finn in Lviv. Police say they've identified a person of interest in the case of a murdered woman found in a duffel bag.
The 51-year-old mother of 2 was stabbed a total of 58 times in this brutal attack. Police say those gruesome details likely mean she knew her killer. The killer also reportedly threatening Gall's husband in a text message saying, quote, "Your wife sent me to jail some years ago when you were living near Austin Street in Forest Hills. I'm back."
Fox's Todd Pyro. America's listening to Fox News.
And now award-winning local news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. 6:31, we do have clear skies. 32 is our current temperature. Our high today will be around 57. Good morning, everyone. Here's some of the stories we are working on for you in the 6 o'clock hour. Fulton police need your help in solving a deadly home invasion. It happened last night, West 9th Street. Fulton Police Chief Bill Ladwig says the incident happened about 9 p.m. A female occupant in the home assaulted. 2 men shot, 1 life-threatening wounds. He later died at a Columbia hospital. No names are being released at this time. No arrests. Anyone with information is urged to call Callaway County Crime Stoppers. Much more on this 7:03 this morning here on the Eagle. Meantime, Columbia's new mayor has been sworn in. Barbara Buffalo sworn in during a brief Monday afternoon ceremony at City Hall. Also sworn in 4th Ward City Councilman Nick Foster. The proposed merger between Moberly-based Orscheln Farm and Home and Tractor Supply is still under regulatory review. Tractor Supply plans to buy Orscheln in all-cash transaction, $297 million. Still business as usual right now as it's under review, according to Tractor Supply, who spoke to 93.9 The Eagle. And construction will begin soon on the new tech center, fast-growing Ashland. It's all about economic development, according to Rankin President Don Pohl.
Ultimately, you've got a great school system with Ashland. And we know that if the school system is all about technical education, and they really push technical education, we want to take and recognize what the school system is already doing and add on to that.
That'll be built next to Salter Lawn Service. News is brought to you this hour by Mid-America Mortgage. Check them out online, midamericamortgage.us. 93.9 The Eagle News Time is 6:33. In sports, the Cardinals opening up a 3-game series this evening at Florida in Miami. They'll take on the Marlins. Adam Wainwright getting the start tonight in Miami. First pitch, 5:40, right here on 93.9 The Eagle. The Cardinals were idle yesterday, and they'll play today again here on the Eagle against Miami, and then they'll head over to Cincinnati. They finally return home next week. This is part of an 11-game road trip, one of the longest of the year for them. Royals open up a series tonight against the Twins. First pitch is at 7:10. Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. Royals idle yesterday. They had a rainout on Sunday, so they haven't played for a couple of days. They'll play tonight. There is a chance, by the way, of rain late in the game today in Kansas City. Our sports brought to you by Mid-America Mortgage.us. 93.9 The Eagle News Time is 6:34. Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com. Find a job or post your job opening today. The roads are pretty quiet here in mid-Missouri. Just a reminder for those of you who are traveling back and forth between Jeff City and Columbia, be prepared for some road work today. Once again, we'll be working on 63. Also, many of you inevitably will see it. Every time they do this, we get calls in the newsroom asking what is happening, and this is a training exercise. 4 to 7 today. You'll see a lot of emergency personnel at the airport. They will be reenacting a simulated plane crash. Do not worry. That is going to be a simulation today, and we'll talk to Mike Parks more about that in a moment. 4 to 7 today, but there'll be a large presence of authorities on scene. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
I might as well do it. I was here in 2016. I was actually here in 2014.
I love that. One of my favorite Carl Scala moments from a city council meeting several weeks ago, talking about roll carts. And he says, I was here in 2014 and 2016. And he is admitting he is the problem. Been there too long. That race, of course, we know now that that deadlock, that tie with him and Roy Lovelady's special election coming up in August to determine that. But he was at it again last night. He's at a city council meeting last night and again talks about how long I've been here. That is why he ideally, in my mind, and for the people of the 3rd Ward, that is ideally why he would be gone coming up during the special election. We're going to have more on this coming up just a few minutes from now here on Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle. I am Branden Rathert. Brian Hauswirth. Hannah, the producer, is here. Stephanie Bell. We'll be back on Monday. I want to bring in the director of the Columbia Regional Airport, Mike Parks. This one of the highlights yesterday. People actually on an airplane. Pilot gets on and says, hey, listen, a judge has just said CDC cannot extend this mask mandate. You are free to remove your masks. Mike, welcome into the show. Masks, Columbia Airport. What's protocol this morning?
Good morning. How are you?
Good.
Good. So, we just did get notified yesterday that TSA will no longer be enforcing the mask mandate, which was expected to be extended until May 3rd. So I'm still waiting to hear back from American Airlines. I'm reading a few stories that they're not going to require it either, but it will be up to the individual airline on if they would like to continue a mask requirement.
Yeah, I was trying to reach. Apparently, that's why it's taken us so long to get responses, Mike, because you're reaching out to American this morning. I'm reaching out to American Airlines. But the latest guidance that I have from American Airlines, face masks will no longer be required for customers and employees at U.S. airports and on domestic flights. TSA, those are the men and women in the blue and black. When you walk into the airport, CDC guidance says they are not going to enforce it, and we currently have no local mask ordinances in effect. So
that's correct.
Good info. I am a big fan of the airport. I am a Chamber of Commerce guy for the Columbia Regional Airport. It allows me to go see my grandkids in Idaho about 4 times a year. Excited for the new terminal. Thank you for inviting me to check that out last week. But we've got some big stuff happening at the airport today. What's happening today?
We do. We have our every 3 years we're required to have an emergency exercise, what we call a full-scale disaster drill. And what that is it's an opportunity for all emergency services, so fire, law enforcement, EMS, and others can all come together and practice their response to a large disaster.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned, Mike, this is Brian Hauswirth. I'm glad you mentioned that they're required to do it every 3 years, because I know every time this seems to come up, we get calls, as I've said, in the newsroom. People are concerned, and I get that. It's very important. That's why I'm trying to get the word out. Branden is, too, so people will see this and not panic, obviously, when they, when they drive by, and people in that area are certainly going to see a large presence as well. Have we had, over the years, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head, either a plane crash or planes. I know we've had emergency landings, but have we had any plane crashes at the or near the airport over the years? I can't think of any right off the top of my head.
We have not. In the over 20 years I've been at the airport, we have not. No.
Gotcha. What is the idea behind this, and also the fact that the hospitals are being involved and being on scene? What is the idea there?
No, I really appreciate the question, Brian, because you're exactly right. We don't want people to be alarmed. This is just a training exercise. The whole idea behind this is for all emergency personnel to be able to train together. You don't have that happen very often. It's hard to get everybody together. So this is going to be Boone County, Southern Boone County, Columbia Fire Department, Airport Safety, the Police Department, Sheriff's Department, Highway Patrol, and it goes on. But it's just an opportunity for them to work together. So it's not just a benefit for an air disaster. It would also benefit for any type of large disaster. So that practice helps everybody to be prepared for any disaster that might happen.
Mike Parks, Director, Columbia Regional Airport. Now, we see, and by the way, give it up for our firefighters, everybody who's a first responder this morning, but we see whenever the firefighters do training, they set a house on fire and go, are you guys going to bring an airplane out there and set it on fire? And what time's the show? And can the public come and watch? And don't be mad at me for asking that question.
No, that's a good question. So everything's going to happen on the runway. We're going to close the crosswind runway, which is just as you come into the airport. There's really not a place for the public to watch. Of course, they'll be coming along Airport Drive. They'll be able to see it there. But, and I'm sorry, I forgot the other part of your question.
Are you going to torch an airplane?
Oh, no. So actually, every 3 years we had been doing that. We changed it up this year because the plane simulator is not available from the University of Missouri. So we're actually going to use a bus, and we have about 50 volunteers that are going to be moulaged and going to be acting as victims, and so they'll be doing rescues from the bus to simulate that aircraft.
Hannah, the producer, just sent me a note, said, ask Mike if she wants to know if you need any dummies. She said, I can volunteer to be a dummy for you.
Well, we'll take volunteers. If you want to come on out there, I'll get you set up, and you can also be a volunteer.
I don't want to be a dummy. I play one all day. Mike, anything else that you need to add as it relates to the masks or the training exercises? So this is happening later this afternoon. You see something crazy, and we'll get the phone calls anyway, and I get it because not everybody is going to be aware that it's going on. But anything else you need to add about the mask mandate being in effect overturned because of a judge's ruling, or the training exercise today?
No, I think on the mask requirements, stay tuned to see if there's any changes in this. Also talk to the airlines to make sure that you're staying up to date on the latest requirements, that they may make changes in the future. And in regards to the drill this afternoon, just be aware, maybe add a little bit of extra time to arrive at the airport for your flight around that 4 o'clock time frame, 3:30 to 6 or so. There's going to be definitely a lot more traffic out there with emergency vehicles, so just be safe and take your time.
And this just occurred to me, too, before I let you go. I'm wondering, like, an incoming flight, people are coming in for a landing, and they don't know it's a training exercise, but they see a bus out on the runway on fire, an emergency. That might be kind of disconcerting.
Well, we definitely pass it on to the air traffic control tower to share that with any inbound flight. So if someone has a loved one flying in, don't worry. The pilot's going to be telling all the passengers that they can maybe look out the window and watch the exercise, but it's only training.
Right,
so they don't have to be alarmed.
They do excellent work, Columbia Regional Airport. It's a real gem. If you've never used the Columbia Regional Airport, you like to fly out of KC or St. Louis, I would encourage you to check it out one time this year. Yes, it does cost more, but I would bet you a week's worth of Hannah's salary that once you figure in gas costs, parking, and your time, how much is your time worth to you? I think you'd really love the Columbia Regional Airport. Mike Parks, anything we can do for you, let us know.
Thank you very much.
All right. City Council meeting last night. Carl Scala told us a couple of weeks ago he is part of the problem. He said, when talking about, I was here in 2014 and 2016 when we talked about this. That is the problem. That's why people like him need to go. May not even necessarily be because of his politics or his pompous attitude. It could just be because he's been there for a long time. Came up again last night.
We're getting to the fourth mayor with Ms. Barbara Buffalo and 5 city managers, including Ray Beck.
So it's a councilman who's been on there for, 12 years? I've been here through 4 mayors. That's a long time. 5 city managers. That's the problem. You want to talk more about our new mayor, Barbara Buffalo, sworn in last night. Also, Nick Foster, who's going to be replacing Ian Thomas. And by the way, everybody, Mayor Brian Treese, and I've always said this about the mayor, he does a really good job. He's very eloquent. He is good at usually keeping a handle on meetings. The meeting where they rescinded the mask mandate, things got a little goosey on him there, and you could see it. He did appear flustered, but he runs a good meeting. He can be a classy individual when he's presenting himself in public. And he said some great words. Been an honor to serve, and it's just time for me to go doing the next thing. And that's one of the things I appreciate about Mayor Brian Treese. Hey, I did 2 terms. He probably would have easily won re-election. He's like, no, I've done my service to the city. 2 terms is enough. And a lot of other people do not understand that, i.e. Carl Scala doesn't understand that. You've done your service. Time to move on, really. So Ian Thomas. So Mayor Brian Treese, great comments last night. Ian Thomas, what he did last night, and Hannah makes fun of me because I do use the word stunning a lot.
You do.
I do.
It's one of those cliche words
right?
that you make fun of other people for using.
Right.
And then you use it
right
on a daily basis.
Right. I have somebody in my life that is always saying right after everything they say, waiting for you to agree with them, and it just grates on my nerves. Right?
Is that me?
No.
Oh.
Let's see. Is it you? Ask Hauswirth if it's him.
Hey, Brian.
Anyhow. And what Ian Thomas, what he said last night, and I'm trying to be honest with myself here because, yeah, he's going after people like me, Ian Thomas, as a point of privilege at the end of his term as a city councilman. In a special meeting attended by members of the city council and other officials of the city, the things he said, incredibly petty. It highlights the progressives, the fact that they still wet the bed at night because Trump was president, even though he hasn't been in office for almost a year and a half. Trump brings these people like Ian Thomas, they bring them to tears. What he did last night, just wow. But here's where I'm trying to be honest with myself, Hannah. I'm like, well, is it because he was criticizing people like me? I go back to Elon Musk's definition of freedom of speech. When people you don't like say things about you that you don't like. And I love that definition. But what he did as a point of privilege in a city council meeting, he offered nothing to the residents of the city of Columbia in these statements that I'm going to be featuring. He did really nothing to, if he had any kind of legacy besides bicycles. He tarnished. He really did. And I would think even people that are progressives like him that have voted for him and supported him in the past, I'm hoping they're calling him this morning. His phone should be ringing off the hook this morning, even by his supporters. His wife should have talked to him when he got home, said, Ian, what you did at the meeting last night completely lacked class, and it was disgusting. I expect better from you. Like a parent, your parents get mad at you, the disappointment, and the also, I expect better from you.
Yes, that hurts the most.
I always wanted to tell my dad, well, that's your fault for expecting so much out of me. It's not on me, man. It's your fault. Your expectations are too high. His wife should have had a talking to him last night after what he did. I'm going to feature what happened last night, what he said. Hear his words. Coming up at 6:53 here on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com, where you can listen live anytime you want. Entrepreneur, you like to do your own little thing or a home improvement business, I want you to know the Better Business Bureau raises the bar for trust when it comes to working with businesses in these categories. Not all businesses are created equal, and companies that meet the BBB requirement standards, they exemplify honesty, integrity, and excellence in every aspect of the business. But here's the bigger thing. People that might be spending money with your business, they see this on Better Business Bureau's website. Oh, look at that. Wow. They have a certified A-plus rating. That says a lot, and that's why it's important. If you have one of these home businesses, man, you get an A-plus rating from the BBB. That could probably do wonders for your business, plus a whole lot of other valuable resources when you become a member of the Better Business Bureau, man. You get onto the website, search BBB. It's amazing what's on there, bbb.org.
Catch Wake Up Columbia on demand anytime, all the time at 939theeagle.com.
Additional question about something that happened a few months ago down at the border. We've been told that the mounted Border Patrol officers the president accused of whipping migrants have been notified they will not face criminal charges. So when is the president going to apologize to them?
There is a process, and
it doesn't matter what her answer was. Number one, because she didn't give an answer. The question, so those border agents, remember, made big news. Everybody, USA Today, CNN, MSNBC, Washington Post, New York Times. Oh, my God, these border agents are whipping the brown people because they're brown. It was all lies. They ran with it. The more egregious foul is that then they never corrected it. The White House doesn't correct it either. Peter Doocy is saying, you said some really nasty things about those Border Patrol agents who, by the way, absolutely exonerated, cleared. They did no wrong. We knew right away they were not whipping people. P. Doocy, are you guys going to apologize? Didn't answer the question. Didn't even say, no, we're not going to apologize, but she did give her answer. They fume. They get mad when they're wrong. What's so wrong with saying, hey, you know what? We got it wrong and I apologize. And some of the words I said, maybe some things that aren't true about somebody. Yeah. They can't stand it when they're wrong to the point they won't even. We had this conversation yesterday. What's so wrong with saying, hey, I was wrong and I'm sorry to you and I hope that I don't ever repeat that behavior again. They don't have the capability to do it.
Well, nobody likes being wrong.
No.
I mean, it is hard to admit when you've been wrong because it's like a pride thing.
Yeah. When you start criticizing people for doing something illegal when they, in fact, have not done anything illegal and you don't apologize, that says a lot about your character. Says a lot about Jen Psaki's and the big guy's character, guy who's currently president. I'm hoping that's another thing that will change these people's minds, these regretful Biden voters, people that are outside of either tent, people that are in the middle. Jen Psaki will be an excellent fit at MSNBC. More proof that they're crying. They're still crying about Trump, and they can't stand when they get it wrong, because here's a great story. It's border white guys on horses whipping brown people. Didn't fit our narrative, and it wasn't true. And now we are not apologizing. We can't stand it. And it applies in local politics, too. Ian Thomas, on his way out, being replaced by Nick Foster. Ian Thomas decided not to seek re-election. He was known for bikes mostly here in town. At what he did last night, and I swear, I promise you, I was completely prepared to come here and, send him out on a good note. I had nice comments from people talking about Ian and how, by the way, the nice comments about Ian was his work with the bikes and all that stuff. And then what he did next, I hope his wife talked to him afterwards and admonished him for his very boorish behavior. I hope anybody that's friends with Ian Thomas, if you haven't already, called him to say, hey, that was horrible what you did last night at a city council meeting. I hope that you will call him this morning and say, Ian, that is poor. You too. You should apologize. And not the Jen Psaki way, but apologize like a man, like a human being. Fess up to your mistake. Here's what he did last night. Point of privilege. Going after people like me and you.
And like Putin, the current leadership of the American Republican Party has abandoned truth and democratic values in its desire for power and control.
It's an outgoing city councilman in this meeting criticized a point of privilege because he has that privilege that he likes to criticize himself for. He has the privilege of being white, he says, and he has the privilege as an outgoing city councilman to get up and make those comments and criticize you. That is simply wrong, and I hope people let him know about that, because and you can say it because I don't like him or because he's going after conservatives like I am, and I'm trying to be honest about it, and I got to tell you, I keep coming to the same conclusion.
Oh, Lord.
So there's some things that I won't be able to fix. One of them is my brain. I'm sure everybody is coming to that conclusion this morning regarding former City Councilman Ian Thomas. What happened last night in City Council chambers was an embarrassment on the history of the city of Columbia. It's horrible. Hartzler going after Greitens after Greitens going after Hartzler. We have that story coming up for you at 7:10 on 93.9 The Eagle.
Many travelers are happy. I'm Roger Stern, Fox News. Passengers on one flight applauding after learning that a judge in Florida threw out the federal mask mandate for planes, trains, and other forms of public transportation. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki voicing White House disagreement with the ruling.
The mask mandate should be in place and that it's safer for individuals who are flying to continue to wear masks. So we would say to anyone sitting out there, we'd recommend you wear masks on the airplane.
No word on whether the Biden administration will appeal the ruling. Airlines are still free to require masks, but none have offered to do so. Police in South Carolina have arrested a third person in connection with the weekend's shopping mall shooting, which injured 15 people.
Police believe this all sparked from a dispute. 2 suspects were taken into custody, including Jawayne Price, but a judge set his bond at $25,000 and said he could go home under house arrest with permission to go to work. Police have a warrant out for a third suspect.
Fox's Shannon Bream. A one-time Chicago cop convicted of fatally shooting a black teenager won't face a second trial. Fox's Kathleen Maloney.
The U.S. Attorney's Office in Chicago announcing it will not criminally charge Jason Van Dyke in the 2014 shooting death of Laquan McDonald. The victim's family was consulted and is in agreement. The former cop was released from a Chicago prison in February after serving less than half of an 81-month sentence on his second-degree murder conviction in state court. Civil rights leaders, community activists, and others were outraged over what they consider a lenient sentence for the slaying of the teen who was shot 16 times. Kathleen Maloney, Fox News.
Russia wrapping up its push to control eastern Ukraine. There are more assaults in the Donbass region. America is listening to Fox News.
Here's NFL legend Terry Bradshaw.
This is it, your last chance to win big money from Publishers Clearinghouse.
There are just days left to enter to win. $7,000 a week for life on April 30th.
Yep, you got to enter PCH.com before it's too late. Real people really do win, and time's running out if you want to be next. It's your last chance to enter, people. Come on, let's go. Hurry, enter at PCH.com. $7,000 a week for life. Last chance. Enter now at PCH.com.
Entries due 4/28. No purchase necessary. Void or prohibited.
If you're in the market for a new home or your dream home, go with a lender you can count on for competitive rates. Over 300 loan products and thousands of loan consultants to help make sure you get the home and the mortgage that you want. Call now to see if you're pre-approved. 866-888-LOAN. 866-888-LOAN. Or go to LoanDepot.com. Loan Depot, where home means everything. Rates are subject to change. Equal Housing Opportunity Lender. NMLS number 174457. Licensed in all 50 states.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 7:03. Right now we do have sunshine, and we are going to see another chilly day today. We still have frost right now. It was below freezing this morning. We're still at that 32.6 degree mark, to be exact, here in Columbia. Our high today about 57. Showers tonight with a low near 45 degrees. Good morning, everyone, and here's some of the stories we are working on for you in this 7 o'clock hour. We're going to begin with a quick traffic update. I just got off the phone with the Missouri State Highway Patrol in Jefferson City. There is one lane right now of eastbound I-70 at the 102-mile marker. This is near Boonville. A tractor trailer is on its side. Well, the left lane reportedly is closed right now on eastbound I-70. Again, a tractor trailer on its side. Emergency personnel are there. We don't believe any serious injuries, but it is impacting traffic, so be prepared for that if you're in that area. And if you're driving by and have additional information and it's safe, you can give us a call or a text. We always appreciate those as well. Meantime, a home invasion in Fulton has left one man dead and another wounded.
A Fulton man is dead after a home invasion Monday night. Officers found two men with gunshot wounds. The 58-year-old victim died at a Columbia hospital. The 33-year-old man shot is recovering after being hit in the leg. Investigators say the shooter attacked a woman before shooting the men. It happened on West 9th Street in Fulton. So far, no one's been arrested. John Marsh, 93.9 The Eagle.
All right, John, thank you. Meantime, the Missouri State Highway Patrol is also involved in that investigation. If anyone has any information, they are urged to call the Crime Stoppers number in Callaway County to provide information. Court documents obtained by 93.9 The Eagle say the Jefferson City man charged with Easter Sunday shooting in downtown Columbia has 3 prior convictions.
20-year-old Victor Arriaga is charged with first-degree assault and armed criminal action for the shooting, which happened at the busy 9th and Cherry intersection. The Columbia Police Department's probable cause statement says Arriaga used a Glock, which had a flashlight and laser attached to it. CPD officers found blood and a jacket in the intersection. The jacket had a bullet hole in it. The court documents say Arriaga fired into a crowd, seriously injuring the victim. Arriaga is quoted in the court documents as telling CPD officers that it was all in self-defense, man. Don Luzader, 93.9 The Eagle.
Don, thank you. And that is a direct quote, by the way, from the court documents that Don cited there. A bill providing a $15,000 appropriation to temporarily extend tower operating hours at Columbia Regional Airport has been first read by the City Council. City Manager's office says the taxiway A's reconstruction is set to begin this summer, that aircraft will be required to back taxi in order to take off and land for 90 days. So it's a $15,000 appropriation. Aim is to enhance safety for commercial aircraft during the project. Ashland area residents and motorists driving near Columbia Regional will notice a number of first responders at the airport today. It's an emergency training exercise as volunteers reenact a simulated plane crash while emergency personnel practice their response. Today's exercise 4 to 7 at Columbia Regional Airport. Ashland area community has already raised more than $2.4 million of its $3 million goal for the new Rankin Technical College campus. Rankin President Don Pohl says that they have incorporated life skills into the curriculum. That includes work ethic and also showing up on time. And the largest employer in northern Boone County town of Centralia is donating $250,000 to the project at Rankin. It says it will help them build a trained workforce here in Boone County. It's AB Chance. They have a huge plant in Centralia, 700 employees. Their GM says the campus at Rankin will provide the type of training that will give Rankin graduates superior career opportunities here in Boone County. Our news is brought to you live in this 7 o'clock hour by the Candy Factory in downtown Columbia. Anniversary, birthday, and Mother's Day, the Candy Factory, downtown Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle News Time is 7:07. In sports, Cardinals off yesterday. They open up a 3-game series tonight at Florida. Adam Wainwright getting the start tonight in Miami. First pitch 5:40 right here on 93.9 The Eagle. Kansas City Royals open a series tonight against the Twins over at the Kauffman Stadium. First pitch 7:10 at Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. Hopefully the weather will cooperate. There is a chance of some showers later in the game in Kansas City. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:07. All right, John, thank you and great work this morning. Our weather is brought to you by Steve's Pest Control, stevespestcontrol.com. Here in Columbia, we have clear skies, 33. Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com. Find a job or post your job opening today. Our time right now is 7:08. As I mentioned at the top of the newscast, there is a tractor trailer that is on its side right now. Eastbound I-70. This is near Boonville, 102 mile marker. I just got off the phone with the Highway Patrol, and it's on its side right now. So there is one lane that if it's not closed, it's at least blocked. You're going to have some delays going in that area, and be prepared as well for people driving in the westbound lanes. People apparently slowing down as well to take a look at this tractor trailer on the side right now. In no serious injuries, we believe, are reported, but it is tying up traffic. Give yourself extra time this morning. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
I take that with heart, and I take that with conviction to work hard and continue to support our community so that everybody has that ability to live a satisfied life, as Ian said, Darwin would say, but also, just the ability to thrive.
Darwin Heinman, former mayor of Columbia. That is the new mayor of Columbia, Barbara Buffalo, sworn in last night. The second female mayor in the history of the city of Columbia. But think about this, so really the mayor, we put a lot of stock in the mayor. They bang the gavel and they get to vote with the city council. There's not a whole, really, and I'm not dismissing the position or somebody who chooses to be mayor, whether it's mayor of Fulton or California or Jeff City or Columbia. I'm not dismissing it, but ultimately, they run the meetings, and it's another vote on the city council. They really have no more power than anybody else.
In terms of voting, yes, Branden, you're absolutely right. In terms of power on the council, yes, they do have a bully pulpit. There is no doubt about that, and they do have the ability to participate in sometimes press conferences that give them a higher profile. Example would be, and again, these are not political issues, but when we had the shooting out at Vibes, Brian Treese and the chief were both there. But you're absolutely right. It's basically a city manager form of government. DeCarlin Seawood, essentially, for all intents and purposes, DeCarlin Seawood runs this city. And he does. And with the department heads, the council is there. And but the mayor and the council certainly they basically direct the staff, and they make policy decisions, if that makes sense.
So the other thing is, think about this. Now on the city council, we have 7 city council members. 4 of them are female, including Mayor Barbara Buffalo, Pat Fowler, Andrea Weiner, and Betsy Peters. And if I'm going to pull the argument, it's got to be equitable. Everything has to mirror exactly what we are in America. So women outnumber the dude on the city council. That's not reflective of our city. We have more men in the city of Columbia. You can look it up on the U.S. Census Bureau. We have more men in the city of Columbia than women. It's not reflective of the city. We got to make this equal. But I won't do that. Welcome to the show. Stephanie Bell back tomorrow. Brian Hauswirth is here.
It's good to see you. It's been a busy busy couple days with everything.
And we're watching, you said a semi somewhere is causing traffic issues.
Yeah, we've got and Channel 17 at the end of their 6 o'clock newscast, Molly had and it looked like it was a photographer maybe up on the overpass. He got a really good shot of it's definitely a tractor trailer on its side. I also confirmed that with the Highway Patrol. It's on its side. It looks to me like, well, it looks like it's definitely, the lane is closed. I mean, there's no way anybody can get through there. Officially, it's at least blocked, but it's going to take some time. They got to get a tow truck out there. So traffic is being impacted a little bit. Be prepared for that. It's the 102-mile marker, which is near Boonville.
So if you're headed out, something you want to watch out for this morning, and be aware. There is Hannah, the producer.
Good morning.
You got a good one for What's Hot with Hannah today?
I think so. We're continuing yesterday's trend.
All right, very cool. I'm excited for that. We'll do that 7:25-ish here on 93.9. The Eagles. So new members, City Council sworn in yesterday, including Nick Foster and Barbara Buffalo sworn in as the mayor of Columbia. So I think a couple of big takeaways. Second female mayor. And I will say, I've always been a big proponent of, I think we should have more women in politics, and here's why. I think men can be incredibly
egotistical?
Yeah, to the point, I'm right, and I'm not going to listen to what you say, and I'm not going to consider. I think women have more of that quality than men do. So I think it could potentially be a good thing. Unfortunately, when you have, and Betsy Peters of those four, I would say is the most conservative of those four. Pat Fowler and Andrea Weiner, my goodness, they're like diving off the diving board into the shallow end on the far left side of the pool. They're diving off the high dive into shallow water. That's how far left Andrea and Pat are from what I've seen in the city council meetings.
And Weiner is now the mayor pro tem, by the way.
So whenever Barbara is not there, Andrea will be banging the gavel to get the meeting going. Meanwhile, national politics, Eric Greitens continues to get national. Oh, and I want to highlight this again really quick because I have an update on this story. Something we were first talking about a little bit after 6 o'clock this morning. The Atlantic, a story that caught my attention. I think this was last year. They were talking about, and I'll just read the headline of the article, is the GOP's demographic doom. So the Atlantic carrying the water for progressives, saying, hey, listen, with more baby boomers dying pretty soon, millennials, Gen Z, they're going to be dominating the electric. And they go into this long article explaining how Republicans are doomed and all this and that. New numbers from Gallup.
Gallup is finding only 30% of Generation Z say they're Democrats, and 27% of millennials say they're Democrats. And Republicans see a big open door in November.
That's what we like to talk about here on the show. Part of my presentation last Friday, Boone County Lincoln Days. So you hear it there. The numbers are showing in this Gallup polling, only 30% of Gen Z identify as Democrat.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, how come?
I think more than anything, of course, I'm a member of Gen Z, but I don't know. I see Gen Z maybe being the generation that, boosts up a third party. Honestly, I know that, time will tell, obviously, but I don't see a lot of people my age going like super far to the right or super far to the left. We kind of all are hanging out in the middle, to stereotype, obviously.
Yeah. And to your point, there's been a lot of talk in political circles, and I think there's a book Newt Gingrich has out right now, and he talks about the very thing you're talking about. He talks about in this book. As a matter of fact, I think Caleb Rowden, state senator, has read this book too. But one of the things that Newt Gingrich is talking about, he says, listen, you have Democrats and you have Republicans, and then you have the Democrats that are far left, and then you have the Republicans that are far right. But if you're to look at these Democrats and Republicans that are more intelligent than the far right and the far left, you'll find a lot of commonality in there. So I think it's a golden opportunity. It's in the messaging. So we just heard that this Gallup poll, 27% of millennials say they are not Democrats. 30% 30% of Gen Z say they are not Democrat. This is a golden opportunity for us to say, hey, here's kind of what we do. Here's what we believe in. And we can do it without having to win arguments, without having to use names, without having to drop bombs on Twitter. We can do it by being nice. 874-9390. I want to get into state politics, man. Hartzler's got it. So Greitens has an ad. He has, I don't want to say he's lying because people will get triggered when they think I'm talking negatively about him, but his ad has some inaccuracies, or at least one inaccuracy in it regarding the voting record of Vicky Hartzler.
Well, and we got a Facebook message yesterday from a concerned member of the Wake Up Columbia family who voiced their opinion on how you seem to have a personal grudge against Eric Greitens. And do you want to explain that a little bit?
Well, was it Greitens or Hawley?
Both. They mentioned both, yeah.
So, and I get it when you like somebody. For example, what Ian Thomas said last night. And you should be upset too, not just because he's equating us to Vladimir Putin. He said this in a city council meeting. I'm mostly mad because of the venue, his point of privilege in city council chambers. Ian Thomas, and I'll play the audio. You can hear in his own words what he said. It's disgusting. And I have to step back and be honest. Is it because he's criticizing somebody that I'm a fan of? And I think that's what it is with the message yesterday, talking about. And if I talk about facts with Hawley and Greitens, some people get upset by the facts. And there's nothing I can do about how they react to that. And they say, you have a grudge and we're going to do this and we're going to. Okay. But isn't part of my responsibility to bring facts? I get it, but and I appreciate folks that take time out of their day to let us know these things. But these are facts. I'm not telling any lies, but I can kind of see maybe what they're saying after what Ian Thomas said last night, but mostly what he did in city council chambers. I hope his wife talked to him last night when I got home. And if you know Ian Thomas, you need to be calling him this morning and point out the classlessness of what he did last night in city council meeting. Roy, welcome into the show. What can we do for you?
Well, I've got a question about local politics, and you actually talked to some of the people that are movers and shakers in this world. I want to know what the tax is, the exclusive tax.
The exclusive tax?
Yes. Have you heard of that?
I have not heard of the exclusive tax. This is a local tax?
It's a local tax. You go into the wrong store, and you will find out how much it is. Would you like to know how much it is?
How much it is?
How much did they get on the internet tax? What, 2%, something like that?
Yeah.
This is 8.6% for walking into the wrong store.
Are you talking about like the taxing districts where you can buy a jug of milk in one district and it costs more than it does in the other district because of at the rate in which they tax?
I'm not sure. It just might be a TIF.
All right.
But on my receipt, it called it the exclusive tax.
I have seen that. As a matter of fact, when I was looking through my gasoline receipts that I'm saving so I can get back my $32 at the end of the year.
I would like to know the limits of where they charge that so I can go somewhere else.
All right. And then let those, if there's local businesses, Roy, that you're shopping at, I hope you let them know, say, hey, I want to support you. You're a small local business, but because of this crazy taxing scheme in the city of Columbia, I ain't doing it. Roy, we appreciate you being a member of the Wake Up Columbia family. So Eric Greitens has an ad on and has an inaccuracy regarding a voting record of Vicky Hartzler. Vicky Hartzler comes out. Oh, by the way, she did, and for what our polls are worth, but we did a poll on 93.9theeagle.com recently, who you liking, because we want to get a gauge of 93.9 The Eagle listeners, who they're liking. And as most polls are showing, whether nationwide, statewide, they're showing is pretty much Schmidt and Hartzler. Check out this ad from Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler going after Greitens.
Have you seen this ad?
And I shouldn't say she's going after Greitens really as much as she's going after him for telling an inaccuracy about how she voted on border wall legislation.
Have you seen this ad?
Back to plan to grant amnesty to more than 1 million.
It's a lie. From Eric Greitens. That's what he does. The bill he's talking about, it's President Trump's bill. All the Democrats opposed it. $25 billion for the border wall, no amnesty, and a crackdown on sanctuary cities. If Eric Greitens had any honor left, He'd apologize to President Trump and maybe a few other people, too.
Ooh.
Ooh. Hartzler spitting fire.
Wow. And I love what she's saying here because I think this also applies to Ian Thomas.
No amnesty and a crackdown on sanctuary cities. If Eric Greitens had any honor left,
if Ian Thomas had any honor left,
he'd apologize to President Trump.
He would apologize to all of the citizens of the city of Columbia for what he said last night, getting up in that meeting, the city council meeting, and comparing, in effect, you and me to Vladimir Putin. Coming up, we're going to be doing What's Hot with Hannah. We'll do that for you, 7:25-ish. What do you got for us?
Yesterday, we highlighted a dumb criminal, and I found one that might even be dumber.
Pumping.com. If you go and check out their website, you see all of the services they do. The other thing, if you were to get on there, I'm serious, and I didn't talk about this for a couple years because I was kind of, and then Hannah pointed it out to me. If you get onto the website for Pro Pumping and Hydrojetting, they clean out septic tanks. They do maintenance on septic tanks, which is really the best way to go. If you're doing regular maintenance on your septic tanks, more often than not, it prevents you from having any big, major, messy, nasty problems. But anyhow, there's a picture. If you go to the website, pro-pumping.com, where's Waldo? Where's Rathert? He's raking out a septic tank for Pro Pumping and Hydrojetting. But seriously, you get onto that website, Pro Pumping and Hydrojetting, pro-pumping.com. You'll see some of the services that they use. You'll be able to get in touch with them and maybe ask about any future job openings. Pro Pumping and Hydrojetting, pro-pumping.com.
Branden, Rathert, and Wake Up Columbia. Drinking upstream from the herd. 93.9 The Eagle.
Initially, the administration was willing to go along with that, but then the administration changed course and demanded that I defer to the ideology, that I refer to the student as a female, and I simply could not do that. I thought it was an egregious assault on my freedom of speech and my religious beliefs.
That is Professor Nicholas Meriwether from Shawnee State University. That university has to pay him almost $500,000 because they punished him because he said, number one, besides my freedom of speech, this dude who wants to be referred to as a female, number one, it's factually not correct. They're just simply not a female. I'm not going to do it. Okay? I'm a professor. I don't lie. Number two, I have freedom of speech. And number three, it goes against my religious beliefs. The school punished him. Wins his lawsuit almost $500,000 for this guy saying, no, I'm not going to call you by your preferred pronoun. I'm going to call you what you are. This guy gets almost $500,000. Right now, 7:25-ish, which means it's
7:28.
Time for What's Hot with Hannah.
You know, yesterday we highlighted a dumb criminal who was just throwing plates of whipped cream in random people's face on the street. This criminal did something equally as dumb, in my opinion. She was driving her vehicle, and it ran out of gas, so she left it stranded there. Somebody came and picked her up to get gas. While she was gone, it was involved in a car accident. So the police get there, they're looking through this car, and they found over 200 pounds of marijuana and almost 20 grand in cash.
Oh, man.
And the authorities are like, why on earth, A, would you drive around with that much marijuana in your car? And B, why would you leave it unattended on the side of the road? And then come back for it when the police were there.
Don't go claim it, man. Don't go claim it. Coming up, City Councilman Matt Pitzer. Last night's City Council meeting highlights coming up at 7:35.
Steve's Pest Control reminding you that it's termite swarm season. Call Steve's Pest Control today for a no-cost evaluation or visit stevespestcontrol.com.
Fox News, I'm Lillian Wu. There's been a swap between Russia and Ukraine, whose deputy prime minister says his country exchanged prisoners of war for 60 Ukrainian soldiers, 16 civilians. Meanwhile, a standoff in the port city of Mariupol,
which has almost been entirely leveled. An unknown number of Ukrainian Marines, believed to be the last pocket of resistance in that city, holed up in a major steel plant with little to no food or resources. Russians reportedly began dropping bunker buster bombs on the troops. Those resilient Ukrainians are proving to be a detriment to Russian troops by consuming their time that could be on the front lines.
Fox's Matt Finn in Lviv, and a federal judge strikes down a national mask mandate.
It gives airports, mass transit systems, and ride-hailing services like Uber and Lyft the option to keep mask rules or get rid of them. Rules for trains and buses vary by city.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. America's listening to Fox News.
And now award-winning local news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. 87:31. We do have bright sunshine right now across mid-Missouri. We're going to be chilly again today. Our high only around 57 degrees. Showers coming into the forecast tonight, low near 45. 34 right now in Columbia. It's 32 degrees. In Jefferson City. Good morning, everyone. Missouri State Troopers say one lane is blocked right now, eastbound I-70, the 102-mile marker near Boonville. A tractor trailer is on its side. That is according to the Missouri State Highway Patrol. I spoke to them earlier this hour. Now, our news partner, ABC 17, is on scene. They've got a camera crew out there, and they're reporting that the delay is expected to take hours, several hours, to get this tractor trailer cleared off the road. They got to get tow trucks and get that picked up, and there's debris as well. So expect delays if you're driving in that area. Meantime, Fulton police need your help solving a deadly home invasion. It happened last night, West 9th Street. One man shot to death, another man shot in the leg, and a woman beaten as well. No names being released at this time. An executive at Tractor Supply says it's business as usual right now for Missouri's 60 Orscheln stores, including 2 here in Columbia, 1 in Jefferson City. Tractor Supply has entered into an agreement to acquire Moberly-based Orscheln, an all-cash transaction. $297 million. That proposed merger is still under review. More on this coming up at 8:03. Construction set to begin soon on the new tech center, fast-growing Ashland. Rankin Tech says Rankin didn't choose Ashland. It was Ashland that chose Rankin. They will focus on IT, construction, nursing, and manufacturing. And A.B. Chance has just donated $250,000 to the project. News is brought to you in the 7 o'clock hour by Dr. Kent Willett Dental Associates. Our news time is 7:33. Turning our attention now to sports. The Cardinals opening up a 3-game series tonight at Florida to take on the Marlins. Adam Wainwright getting the start tonight in Miami. First pitch 5:40 right here on 93.9 The Eagle. Cardinals were off last night. No score to report this morning. Royals opening a series tonight against the Minnesota Twins. They were also off yesterday. First pitch 7:10. Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. And the rain could be a factor as that rain moves in later this evening. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:34. Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. MidmoHires.com. Find a job, post your job opening today. As I mentioned at the top of the newscast, we've got one lane right now of eastbound I-70. Essentially, it's closed. Officially, it's blocked. The 102-mile marker near Boonville. A tractor trailer on its side. There is debris, and it will take, according to our news partner, ABC 17, several hours to clear that off the road. So if you're in that area, be prepared to expect some delays. People driving the other way slowing down to take a look at that as well. So be prepared for some delays as well driving the other way. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
He could have undermined the messaging so much that he can actually control exactly what people think, and that is our job.
Yeah. 2 things. So there's a clip going around. Hannah, you're laughing. I always get nervous when you're laughing because I don't think you're laughing at something I said. I think you're laughing at.
It's more or less like a face palm laugh, like, oh goodness.
So. Check the home. Highlight it again.
Exactly what people think, and that is our job.
Yeah. So I saw this on.
There it is. There's the face palm.
There's the face, because it's Mika Brzezinski saying from MSNBC. These progressives. It's our job to tell you what you think. She said it,
and that is our job.
Yeah. That is our job. It is our job to tell you what you think. I bring this up. I saw this on Facebook over the past couple of days. People posting this video of Mika Brzezinski. Look at what she's saying about Elon Musk, because Elon Musk wants to buy Twitter. And so they're playing.
He could have undermined the messaging so much that he can actually control exactly what people think. And that is our job.
Yeah. It's our job to tell you what you think. So,
no, not even to tell you what to think. She said to control what you think.
Control. That's more dire. So I saw this, I'm like, wow, that's pretty interesting. And then, as I have to do with most other things, I went to check out the veracity. Does the video say what people... And just so you know, and I don't want to rain on you, I don't want to be a buzzkill, but I'm letting you know this so that you don't go and share it, because when we share these things that aren't true, or we tell somebody at happy hour, hey, Mika Brzezinski said we control what people think. She wasn't talking about Elon Musk. It was a clip that's almost 5 years old, and she's actually talking about Trump. People put up the video clip. They don't include the whole thing. Again, I'm not trying to be a buzzkill. I'm just letting you know so that you get burnt by that. Columbia Public Schools asking a judge to dismiss the mask lawsuit by Attorney General and Senate candidate Eric Schmidt. And I'm guessing they're doing to make way for the next lawsuit that's coming down the pipeline for the Columbia Public School District. As a matter of fact, Mike Murphy, ComoBuzz.com. I hope you check out that website. He's got some good stuff. There's a couple of really good opinion pieces on the recent local elections. Regardless, it's good stuff. The latest lawsuit against the Columbia Public School District, Mike Murphy from ComoBuzz.com is going to be hanging out with us at 8:10. It's Wake Up Columbia. Mr. Brian Hauswirth is the news director for the entire Zimmer Radio Network. Welcome in.
It's good to see, and that publication you're referring to really does a nice job covering the local, tends to cover city council, city government, and they break some stories. They do a good job, he reminds me, I'm not comparing him to Henry Lane, but there used to be a lot of folks they would hang around the city council meeting. Don't see that as much anymore. So he does provide a service there.
And if you do check out the website, that is Buzz with one Z, ComoBuzz.com. As a matter of fact, one of the things because I've been kind of following it for a while, and I see Mike, he's at a lot of events, by the way.
Yes.
He's got this piece, and he's kind of going after some local news outlets, and I love it because you guys know me. I like to highlight, here's how local news, like the whole thing. We saw several local news outlets. What was it? Chuck Basie restricts transgender rights. Not one of these local news outlets had to write a headline that says, Chuck Basie is protecting female sports. Not one of them. And this guy, Mike Murphy, is starting to look at the way some of these news outlets are handling things, and I appreciate that. There is Hannah, the producer. How are you today?
I am great. How are you?
Good. What makes you great today?
I'm here.
You're in a good mood? What makes you in a good mood today?
I don't know.
You're just happy.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here. That makes me happy today. Stephanie is back tomorrow. My name is Branden Rathert. If there is something we can do for you, 874-9390. Want to bring in City Councilman, 5th Ward, Mr. Matt Pitzer. Welcome into the show. It seems, first of all, the second City Council meeting was only an hour and a half. Not a whole lot going down last night?
Yeah, we taking it easy, breaking in the new mayor and the new council member from the 4th Ward. So it took it easy on them on the first night.
Nick Foster sworn in the 4th Ward. Mayor Barbara Buffalo now sworn in. There are more females. There are 4 city council members that are female, 3 that are dudes. One of them, Matt Pitzer, is hanging out with us here on the show. Anything, biggest thing from the city council meeting following the pomp and ceremony of the first meeting, anything big that we need to know about in the second meeting last night?
We keep talking about it, but it's just trash again. So we talked about the roll card thing last time, and so I brought up bringing that back, and hopefully the council can just make the right call instead of putting it to the ballot. So there's one opportunity for us to do that before the deadline for putting things on the ballot in May. So I brought that up last night, and with the change in council members, there are 4 that wanted to at least talk about that again. So I'm hopeful that we'll be able to do that.
Councilman, there was a bill that was first read. I've reported on the newscast this morning. A very important bill, and it deals with Columbia Regional Airport in terms of the tower and in terms of the taxiway reconstruction. They're going to have a lot of work going on out there basically this summer all the way through September. And the staff is recommending a $15,000 appropriation to basically cover extended hours out at the tower, is because of the aircraft. There's a safety issue out there where they're going to have to back up because of all the work going on. Pretty non-controversial. What's your take on that?
Yeah, it is non-controversial, but it's just, another step in, all the improvements at the airport. So this actually dates back to construction last summer on the main runway, which shut down that runway for, several months. And there's, big middle section that had to be completely rebuilt. All the concrete was ripped out and replaced. So in order to do that, they had to leave a taxiway open to get out to the crosswind runway and use that more often. And now they need to go back and reconstruct that taxiway, which means they'll have to be doing what's called back taxiing on the main runway. at certain times. So that's why they wanted some additional, sort of eyes on there to make sure that there's no problems with any of the air traffic.
All right. Anything you need to add, Councilman?
No, like you said, I'm hoping that it's a new era, and every meeting's gonna be an hour and a half.
I hear you.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed when I talk to you guys.
Hey, and thank you. We always do appreciate your accessibility. Had a great phone conversation with Boone County Clerk Brianna Lennon yesterday and was personally thanking her for how accessible she is, because not all politicians, as we know here on the show, are like that. Either they're not accessible or they just don't like me, and I would accept the latter of the two if they would just tell me. And I'll ask you and I did not get a chance to talk about this beforehand. I don't want to catch you off guard. I don't want to bring you into anything that doesn't need Mr. Pitzer to be brought into. If you want, you can say no comment. You don't want to answer, whatever. And I'm trying to be as honest as I can about this, Matt, but because it's something that Ian Thomas said yesterday in the first meeting, is a point of privilege, gets to say some good bywords. I was stunned by his actions. I'm trying to think, is it because he was attacking people like me, or just because the point of privilege that he used to get up and make some very dire political statements against what I believe? But did you have any? I just think the venue is wrong for that. I could be overreacting. Did you have any reaction, any comment on what Ian Thomas said at the meeting last night?
I mean, that's not how I would have handled that.
Okay. All right. And I will take that, and I hope that I did not put you in an uncomfortable situation. But I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. City Councilman Matt Pitzer, we'll see you at the gym. All right?
All right. See you there.
I haven't been to the gym in a month, Hannah. Well, I was there yesterday, actually, but it was the first time in a month that I had been there.
Do you still sit on the exercise bike just to watch TV?
I do. I sit there. I'm listening to the TV. I'm watching Fox News, and sometimes, you know what I do when I'm on the exercise bike? You know what I do once in a while?
Pedal?
Yep. Coming up here at 7:50 on 93. Oh, by the way, 8:10. Mike Murphy.
Oh.
Don't. I almost forgot. No. Well, there's a lot of things. Mike Murphy, Como Buzz, 1Z, comobuzz.com, joining us. We know Columbia Public School District is asking for the dismissal of the Attorney General's mask mandate lawsuit, and I'm guessing
Go figure.
Yeah. And I'm guessing they're doing that to make way for the next lawsuit, which is coming down the pipeline against the Columbia Public School District. Magically, this lawsuit we're going to be talking about, magically, the topic was covered at last night's school board meeting. I just think it's just, instead of stunning, that's the new word I'm going to overuse. It's magical how all of a sudden now
I give it 2 days.
Joe, hate to pick on Joe, but I will.
No, you don't.
I will tell facts. Yesterday in White House, and they're doing the big Easter egg thing, and Joe Biden is wandering around, it would appear, without direction, and apparently crosses paths with a reporter, and a reporter starts asking him some questions. Joe absolutely positively had to be rescued. So there's all these people, because there's people besides Secret Service, there's people keeping eyes on the big guy, right? Not just Secret Service watching out for his safety, but there's somebody like, hey, Kamala, today it's your turn. If you see Joe starting to say something stupid, you need to intervene. And Kamala said, well, how do I know he's saying something stupid? And the other handler said, well, you'll know because his mouth will be moving.
Do you think they draw straws to see who has to handle him for the day?
So there's these group of people, and somebody whose ever turn it was to keep an eye on Joe says, it looks like he's talking to a reporter. My goodness, for the security of the United States of America and for the reputation which we enjoy on the worldwide stage, for the love of God, please go over and get that guy away from the reporter. So who was it? Who went over to save him? Was it Psaki? Was it Kamala? Some high-ranking official? Some staffer maybe that we don't know the name of? We'll have the answer on who came and saved the day for Joe Biden yesterday. It's a
always certain. Sometimes right. This is Branden, Rathert, and Wake Up Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle.
Cheers on an airplane. Yesterday, so some folks, and this happened all across the country, some folks getting on airplanes, and the pilot gets on and says, a judge, incidentally a Trump-appointed judge, has just ruled that the CDC extending the mask mandate on mass transit is not a law-abiding order. You may now remove your masks. TSA no longer enforcing masks. So if you're going to the Columbia Airport flying out of STLKC, TSA is not enforcing masks. And all of the individual airlines, including the one that flies out of Columbia, American Airlines, straight from American Airlines, here's what they're telling us. Face mask will no longer be required for customers and employees at U.S. airports and on domestic flights. There are no city ordinances in the TSA. When you walk into the Columbia Regional Airport, they're not enforcing any kind of mask mandate. I guess you can't enforce something that doesn't exist. It doesn't make sense to say you can't enforce a mask mandate. So that had to be a kick into the groin to the big guy yesterday. The other thing that happened in the White House, so Joe Biden, they're walking around, they got all the kids, there's thousands of people, White House lawn, and all of a sudden, whoever it is in charge of Joe, he's off, he starts talking to a reporter, and I envision this little group of people. They're probably over there smoking cigarettes, just kind of keeping an eye on, like when you're grandparents and you're letting the kids play at the playground and you're off talking to somebody, you're keeping an eye when you're smoking, keeping an eye on the kids. That's what they're doing with Joe. All of a sudden, one of them says, uh-oh, he's talking to a reporter. And apparently the reporter is asking Joe about Afghanistan and Pakistan. And these handlers have a standing order. Whatever you do, don't let Joe talk to a reporter. Because whenever he starts talking, he makes mistakes. Thank goodness there's video. You can see the video. To the rescue was Kamala, Jen Psaki. What about Jill? Jill could have gone over and rescued them. That probably would not have looked so bad. However, to the rescue, it was
the Easter Bunny.
Seriously, last week you had the bird crapping on him. You had people coming out. In fact, it wasn't a bird that crapped on him when he was doing that speech. It really is what it was. It was some grain from above. I mean, people are the lengths that they are going through to try to protect this guy, and the stories that come out from he's opening his mouth. The only reason he opens his mouth is to change feet, man. This guy, the thing with the bird crapping on him, whatever it was, the thing with him pooping in his own pants a couple of months ago because he got caught on a hot mic having gas. And
he was seen, he had a wardrobe change.
And then yesterday, you start talking to a reporter, and the Easter Bunny came and whisked this man away. Other countries will see that in conjunction with everything else that they have seen. And that will be their view of America. And I like to think a bunch of these folks in other parts of the world, they used to look at us and they might think of a bald eagle. They might think of our stars and stripes. They might think of our American flag. And then I envision they picture us now. And they think about Joe Biden pooping his pants. Think about Joe Biden having to be rescued by the Easter Bunny. That's what countries around the world, that's how they are seeing the United States of America. That is disconcerting. I do have another episode of Psaki v. Ducey. This one's kind of different, but it's good. They just keep on giving. I kept talking about what Ian Thomas did, outgoing City Councilman Ian Thomas, what he did last night, City Council meeting. And maybe I'm blowing this out of proportion. I was shocked, not just because he's going after people like me, and I presume people like you, because of the venue in which he did it. As a point of privilege, gets to make some comments as he is the outgoing. He's no longer in that seat anymore. Nick Foster is there. Here's what happened.
And like Putin, the current leadership of the American Republican Party has abandoned truth and democratic values.
So he's comparing us to Vladimir Putin. He did that in a city council meeting last night. Vladimir Putin, who right now, some say he's committing genocide, he's not. whatever the hell he's doing, he's killing people, murdering people needlessly. Ian Thomas compared you to that guy. That is not acceptable. And I don't know what the recourse is. He's not on the city council anymore. I hope his friends deluged him with phone calls last night. I hope he gets a good stern talking to from his wife to let him know how much that just completely lacks any class, any self-decency about yourself, how poorly that reflects on you, which is too bad because for his followers, Ian Thomas probably has a good legacy. And I would say he did more than tarnish it last night. That was just so poor what he did. I'm guessing he's getting a lot of phone calls about that one today. Another lawsuit against Columbia Public School District. We cover that at 8:10.
A new phase. I'm Roger Stern, Fox News. Both sides describe Russia's expanded push into eastern Ukraine as a new phase in the war. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky says Russia has begun its attack on the Donbas region.
Russia's foreign minister confirms that Russia has begun its second major phase targeting the east, the Donbas region. This comes as the Pentagon now confirms Ukrainians will begin training on American-provided howitzers within days. And also a brutal standoff right now in the port city of Mariupol, which has almost been entirely leveled. An unknown number of Ukrainian Marines, believed to be the last pocket of resistance in that city, holed up in a major steel plant with little to no food or resources. Russians reportedly began dropping bunker buster bombs on the troops. Those resilient Ukrainians are proving to be a detriment to Russian troops by consuming their time that could be on the front lines.
Fox's Matt Finn in Lviv. Meanwhile, Ukraine's deputy prime minister says his nation swapped POWs with Russia. Ukraine receiving 60 soldiers and 16 civilians. There's now a patchwork of rules when it comes to wearing masks on public transportation. This after yesterday's ruling by a federal judge ending the CDC's transportation mask mandate.
It gives airports, mass transit systems, and ride-hailing services like Uber and Lyft the option to keep mask rules or get rid of them. Rules for trains and buses vary by city. In New York City, the MTA says it's keeping a mask mandate in place for subways, buses, and commuter rail lines, while Washington, D.C.'s Metro says masks will be optional for customers on its trains as well as employees. As of today, Uber says masks are no longer required for riders and drivers. In New York City, Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
America is listening to Fox News.
Here's NFL legend Terry Bradshaw.
This is it, your last chance to win big money from Publishers Clearinghouse.
There are just days left to enter to win. $7,000 a week for life on April 30th.
Yep, you got to enter PCH.com before it's too late. Real people really do win, and time's running out if you want to be next. It's your last chance to enter, people. Come on, let's go. Hurry, enter at PCH.com. $7,000 a week. For life. Last chance. Enter now at PCH.com.
Entries due 4/28. No purchase necessary. Void or prohibited.
Is your current home loan the right fit for you? Rising home values mean that you could have more home equity than you might imagine. And if you're considering a refi, an expertly chosen loan from Loan Depot could save you thousands. Ask about their smart term loans, cash out, and over 300 loan options to find just the right mortgage loan for you. Call now, 866-888-LOAN, or go to LoanDepot.com. Loan Depot, where home means everything. Rates are subject to change. Equal housing opportunity lender. NMLS number 174457. Licensed in all 50 states.
.939 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 8:03 right now. We do have bright sunshine in Columbia. We're expecting a high today of around 57 degrees. It's going to be chilly. Rain moving in tonight and rain all day tomorrow, so you want to have your umbrella handy. Good morning, everyone. Here's some of the stories we are working on for you in this 8 o'clock hour. We begin with two quick traffic notes right now. I just got off the phone with Joint Communications. It's been a busy morning with traffic. We have had a collision right now that is blocking traffic in southbound lanes of Paris and Vandiver. I'm being told by dispatchers both southbound lanes of Paris at Vandiver are closed. At least two vehicles involved in this crash. It happened in the last about 5 minutes or so. You're going to want to avoid that area. That's very busy at this time of the year. Folks heading to work up at some of the factories on Route B, which is Paris Road. So avoid that area. Both southbound lanes of Paris Road are closed at Vandiver. We've also still got an eastbound lane on I-70 at the 102-mile marker in Boonville that is shut down right now. A tractor trailer is on its side. That is tying up traffic as well. Now to our other big story this morning, a home invasion in Fulton last night. It leaves one man dead, another man wounded.
A Fulton man is dead after a home invasion Monday night. Officers found two men with gunshot wounds. The 58-year-old victim died at a Columbia hospital. The 33-year-old man shot is recovering after being hit in the leg. Investigators say the shooter attacked a woman before shooting the men. It happened on West 9th Street in Fulton. So far, no one's been arrested. John Marsh, 93.9, The Eagle.
All right, John, thanks so much. And if anyone has information about what happened last night, you're being urged to call the Fulton Police Department. They will protect your identity. That phone number is 573-592-3100. Meantime, Ashland area residents and motorists who are driving near Columbia Regional Airport are going to notice a number of first responders near the airport today. It's emergency training exercise. It'll start at 4, go to 7. City officials are going to be, along with volunteers, reenacting a simulated plane crash while emergency personnel practice their response. They do this every 3 years. Again, this is an exercise today. It is not an actual plane crash today, but you will see a heavy law enforcement presence around the airport all afternoon. Be prepared for that. The Ashland area community has already raised more than $2.4 million of its $3 million campaign goal for the new Rankin Tech College campus. Rankin President Don Pohl tells 93.9 The Eagle CEO Roundtable that Rankin has incorporated life skills into its curriculum. They include work ethic and showing up on time.
We've already had graduates who've met the technical education requirements. They've passed all the general education classes, but because they did not meet that work ethic requirement, they didn't graduate from Rankin. That's how serious we take it.
The Ashland campus will be built next to Salter Lawn Service in Ashland there. It's expected to open by the fall of 2023. And an executive at Tractor Supply tells me it's still business as usual right now for Missouri's 60 Orscheln stores. That includes 2 in Columbia and a big one in Jefferson City. Tractor Supply announced last winter, you'll recall, they've entered into an agreement to acquire Moberly-based Orscheln in an all-cash transaction for $297 million. That proposed merger is still under review by the Biden administration. A Tractor Supply spokeswoman tells me their focus right now is on regulatory approval. Orscheln has 2 Columbia stores. They're on Paris Road and in South Providence as well. The Jefferson City store is on heavily traveled Missouri Boulevard. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you in this 8 o'clock hour by Steve's Pest Control. Visit stevespestcontrol.com. 93.9 The Eagle News time is 8:07. Turning our attention now to sports. Cardinals were off yesterday. They open a 3-game series tonight at Florida. Adam Wainwright on the mound, getting the start tonight in Miami. First pitch, 5:40. 93.9 The Eagle. Royals opening a series tonight against the Twins. First pitch, 7:10. Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. They also were off yesterday, and the Royals were rained out on Sunday. Could be some rain tonight. If you're heading to the K tonight, Kauffman Stadium, make sure you bring an umbrella, especially for the later innings. 93.9 The Eagle News time, 8:07. John, thanks. Great job today. And again, for those of you who missed it, John is the new morning meteorologist right now at Channel 17, working with Molly every morning. And we're happy for him for that opportunity. Sunshine 35. It's 8:08, 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com. Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com. We've definitely got some traffic issues this morning. Got a tractor trailer right now on its side as we speak, eastbound I-70, 102-mile marker in Boonville. That is closed, one lane of the interstate in Paris Road in Vandiver right now, and that's very busy at this time of the morning. People heading to work at Kraft, the other companies up there on Route B, along Route B, and going to 3M as well. That is completely blocked. We've got 2 lanes blocked there at Paris Road because of a multi-vehicle collision, so avoid those areas if at all possible. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
I might as well do it. I was here in 2016. We're getting to the fourth mayor with Ms. Barbara Buffalo, and 5 city managers, including Ray Beck, who is in the audience somewhere here.
That's outgoing 3rd Ward Councilman Carl Scala. Oh, that's not a fact. That's just wishful thinking. He's not the outgoing councilman of the 3rd Ward, Brian?
He is not. Right. He is, because of the way the charter works in a tie, which we've never seen before, he'll retain his seat until the special election.
I'm just being mean.
There was something something grabbed my attention, though, what was in that soundbite, and that is he mentioned five city managers, and a couple of them they didn't last. And let's be honest, John Glasscock was just there and did a great job. Everybody praised him. He was there temporarily, but it's amazing that first one he mentioned was and you and I met him out at the airport. He was here essentially forever. It's just forever, and that was back in the day when really city manager really ran the city. But yeah, that was interesting. Really interesting soundbite.
Was Carl in last night's meeting saying again, 2 meetings, 2 consecutive meetings, he is saying he is part of the problem. He's telling you, I've been here through 4 mayors and 5 city managers. That's the problem, Mr. Scala. You need to go. The last city council meeting.
I might as well do it. I was here in 2016. I was actually here in 2014.
Again, he's saying, I was here in 2014 when we couldn't solve the trash issue. I was here in 2016 when we couldn't solve the trash issue. He's telling you, I have been here too long. You are part of the problem. I'll tell you somebody who really follows this stuff pretty closely. He's got a good handle on it. Mike Murphy, Como Buzz with 1Z, ComoBuzz.com. He's joining us on the show. Now, I want to get into another big topic. What do you think about this 3rd Ward race? Because I'm wondering, do they do another whole campaign season? Because we've got 5 months until this special election. How do you do that campaign? Hello, Mike.
Hey, I'm here. Okay. We just woke me up, Brandon.
No worries.
So Roy won 4 of the 6 precincts out there, but in the 2 that Carl won, he won by enough of a margin to get to the tie. So Roy's in good shape out there. I do indeed believe that they're going to have to run all just like they were running for election in the primary.
Wow.
So it's going to go all summer long. I do think that Roy's in pretty good shape because this gives him a lot of credibility. I think a lot of people didn't really think that he could pull this off, and I think he's pretty well positioned, and it should be pretty interesting. It'll get a little more attention. There'll be some more voter turnout. It'll be fun to watch.
Already 2,200 voted in that race. Do you have any insight? We look at the mayoral race, and, even though conservatives didn't get their guy, was the guy I wanted to win, Randy Minshew. He didn't get it, but came within 800 votes, I think is still impressive. In your research following the election, have you been able to see where the strengths as far as wards, precincts for Barbara Buffalo were compared to Minshew?
Yeah, sure. Minshew actually won 4 of the 6 wards, but Buffalo ran so well in the 4th ward in particular, which was the highest turnout ward. So 36% of the voters turned out in Ward 4, and she won some of those precincts as high as 40% of the voters turn out. And in those precincts, she won 60 and 70% of the vote. So in Ward 4, which is, central to West Columbia, a very powerful and engaged, as it turns out, Democratic stronghold, she ran really, really, really well. She got 51% of the vote there, and it carried her. She got the 800 extra votes that she needed.
Wow, fascinating.
Interestingly, interesting out in Ward 5, which is Southwest, the new part of town out there, Minshew won that with 50% of the vote, 51, and it was Buffalo's worst place of finish. And what's interesting to me about that, or kind of interesting in this race, is the 5th ward only turned out 25% of its voters. If they'd have got a little better turnout out there, if they'd even got close, if they'd have got to 35% like Ward 4, that extra 1,600 votes would have got Minshew the 800 that he would have needed to be there at the end, and he actually could have won if they'd have turned out a little better in Ward 5.
That's fascinating analysis. Mike Murphy, ComoBuzz.com. You could check out the website. He's actually got some info on ComoBuzz.com about some of this stuff. Columbia, by the way, Mike Murphy, Como Buzz, joining us on Branden. Brian Hauswirth, Hannah, the producer, is here. Stephanie Bell will be back with us tomorrow. Columbia Public, I was in the courtroom last time this went before a judge. You had the state attorney's office, and you had attorneys for the Columbia Public School District. I was there with parents. This time around, Columbia Public Schools are asking for dismissal of the Attorney General's mask mandate lawsuit, where he wanted him to get rid of the mask mandate. So they're asking for dismissal of that, and I guess my take is, Mike, Columbia Public School District is asking that to be dismissed so they can make room for the next lawsuit they have coming their way. And you have the details on this. What's happening with the district now?
Well, a former teacher is a learning specialist. I guess that's a teacher who is in their special education facility. They call it the Center of Responsive Education, CORE. It's located out on Bethel in Southampton. It has young K through 5 disabled students, developmentally disabled, autistic, those types of special education students. She's filing a whistleblower lawsuit against them for damages. She says she got run out of her job. She resigned in the summer of 21, last summer. She was the person, the teacher who kind of blew the whistle, for lack of a better term, on the district had hired contracted a company from Philadelphia to actually run that facility out there, that core facility. The company's named Catapult Learning. They paid them $920,000 for a school year to provide services out there. And what was happening is they had built 4x6 by 8 plywood boxes that they used as seclusion rooms. They confined these students in seclusion rooms. The question that's yet to be determined is exactly, the bottom line is the school district went in and changed their policy after this started happening, but there is a policy, you wouldn't know it, but the state and the schools have a seclusion, isolation, and restraint policy. Well, this teacher, Angela Jolly, she pointed out to the district that this contractor's policy didn't resemble the school's policy, and that actually students were being mistreated in these seclusion rooms, and they were actually, crying and screaming and terrorizing other students, and that type of thing. She wasn't getting the response she wanted, so to make the story a lot shorter, she took some videos of it. The videos made it to social media. Then they made it to newspapers. The newspapers made a story out of it. That led to a blow up at a school board meeting in 2019. People might remember that. 100 people showed up and led to some change of policies. But what it also led to was state lawmakers getting involved. Ms. Jolly actually went and testified before the lawmakers about what she described as the horrific procedures at Columbia schools. The Columbia administrators did not go.
Do you remember why at the time? Did they give a reason for not going? Do you recall? Because I don't. That's why I'm asking.
It was reported that they said they didn't have enough time to show up.
And that was officials from the Columbia Public School District.
Yeah, correct.
All right. This is Mike Murphy, ComoBuzz.com. Latest lawsuit against Columbia Public School District has to do with a story that's been going on for several years. And you said the use of seclusion rooms. As I recall, when this was going around on social media, parents were sending me this. And I could be wrong, and I don't want to do anything to demean the character of the school district. They seem to do a fine job of that by themselves. They don't need my help. They look, as I recall, they were more like big boxes or crates. Am I wrong there?
No, they were 4x, 6x8 plywood boxes, painted white.
So this teacher is saying she was retaliated against, she lost her job, and she's suing now.
She said that as soon as they found out, she admitted that she provided the photos to social media, and she said at that time, and then all through the rest of this, that she suffered threats, intimidation. Now she was getting various reprimands. She was transferred several times, and she's claiming she was basically run out of her job. She's saying that today she's applied to be a substitute teacher at the district, which is in desperate need of substitutes, and she's barred from even substituting there.
Wow. Did she say, Mike, what kind of threats and intimidation she received?
Yeah, it's in the lawsuit. I didn't write it up because just a quick sidebar here is the district's got to respond, and it'll be curious to see how they respond. But yeah, the details are in there. She tells about the supervisors and what they said and how they went about it. She has a piece on. She finally got an audience with the superintendent, Peter Stiepelman, and she was encouraged by that. But she said she went out very discouraged because he didn't acknowledge the situation and just told her she should have handled the job or should have handled the situation differently. So she's painted a picture where she was getting no support at all there.
I do remember, to Brandon's point, my final point really to you, Mike, and by the way, kudos to the reporting you're doing down there in the city. I mean, you're doing a really nice job, especially breaking those wards down. That's well done. But I think to show you how bipartisan this issue was with seclusion rooms, I was at the Capitol that day. Hard to believe now, State Representative Chuck Vasey and State Representative Ian Mackey were side by side in agreement on this issue, and of course they don't care for each other right now at all. I think it's fair to say, but they did agree on that. They did agree. Actually, they had the press conference.
Well, we're laughing because it's something that Vasey and Ian Mackey very much agreed on.
They did on the seclusion room. Yes,
and then last week they're making national headlines because Ian Mackey doesn't understand the damaging effect that transgender stuff has on kids, and he was taking it out on Chuck. Mike Murphy, ComoBuzz.com. So we've got that covered. Anything else to be accurate and fair here with your reporting that we need to include in this before we let you go?
No, I don't think so. I try to treat it just to get the news out there. I think some of the details, there's probably going to be a pretty good airing of some dirty laundry, but we really ought to wait till the school responds so we can treat it a little more even-handedly.
All right. Check it out, man. Great publication, ComoBuzz.com, especially his breakdowns. You got to check out Mike's breakdowns. He's looking at How did specific precincts vote in the ward races? How did specific precincts vote in the mayoral race? And what could have different turnouts in different precincts could have done? Remarkable work. Check it out. Como Buzz. 1Z on there. ComoBuzz.com.
Thanks,
Mike,
guys.
keep up the good work, man.
All right. Thanks.
All right. If you need anything from us, you let us know. Coming up, Morning Bell business news, the little twist that only Stephanie Bell can bring you. She's not here today, so it's going to be me. So I will tell you this. I know what's not.
This is Woke Up Columbia. And not really. Just kidding. 93.9 The Eagle.
Gallup is finding only 30% of Generation Z say they're Democrats, and 27% of millennials say they're Democrats. And Republicans see a big open door in November.
So Gen Z and the millennials, those are the folks that we can start talking to and saying, see, here's some of the things we believe and think. And basically, it's just American ideas, because a lot of what you had been following before, if you've been following the progressive ideas, that stuff, that's not American. It's not. So we don't think what we have over here to the 70+% of the folks that are not Democrats from amongst the Generation Z and amongst the millennials. We can start telling, see, here's what we have over here. They're just American ideas, and that's not what you mean. If you're following the Democrat ideas, most of that stuff, those just simply are not American ideas. It's their socialistic ideas. Pay for everybody's college. Give everybody this. The color of your skin is this. We're going to give you a big chunk of cash just because of the color of your skin. That stuff is not American. But I think some fascinating numbers there. All these people that we have the opportunity to say, see, here's what we're about. We're not all this, we're not all Marjorie Taylor Greene. We're not all this. We're not all that. Here's what we have. Come on over, man. 8:28 time for the Morning Bell with Stephanie Bell. Business news with a little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you. She'll be back here tomorrow. And I lied. I said it was not going to be about Elon Musk because that's been her theme recently. But it is about Elon Musk today. And I want to let you know this in case you see this on Facebook. I saw this in a lot of people's Facebook threads yesterday. People posting some audio from Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski on MSNBC talking about Elon Musk. He's trying to control what people think. Two things. Number one, that they're saying that about Elon Musk. And number two, whose job she thinks it is to control what people think.
He could have undermined the messaging so much that he can actually control exactly what people think. And that is our job.
Yeah. Oh, she said it. That's our job. Our job is to control what people think. I bring that up because I saw it a lot on Facebook yesterday. Know this. They were not talking about Elon Musk, and that clip is 5 years old. So whoever started with that thing, it's not accurate. And I just don't want you to be embarrassed. You said, oh, look at what they said about Elon Musk and Twitter yesterday. It's 5 years old. We're not even talking about Elon. Coming up, we're moving a segment of Psaki v. Ducey because they had a good one. They keep giving. I think this is the last time we're ever doing Psaki v. Ducey, but they just keep bringing it on, man. Another great exchange yesterday. We'll get into that coming up at 8:35 here on 93.9 The Eagle. I have your ABC 17 storm track forecast. Some sunshine, close to 60. 45 tonight, rain, 61 tomorrow. Getting warmer on Thursday. Right now, 35. Hey, we're reminding you it's termite swarm season, and if you see black body, long-winged insects, you might be having a swarm. Call Steve's Pest Control today, stevespestcontrol.com.
Fox News, I'm Lillian Wu. The White House disappointed the national mask mandate for planes and mass transit's been struck down.
But it's unclear if it's going to continue to push for the reinstatement. An administration official did talk to the media yesterday saying the agencies are reviewing the decision and assessing potential next steps.
Fox's Mark Meredith. Some European airlines also assessing options for transatlantic flights. Air France and Lufthansa still requiring them in line with French and German regulations.
Airlines know that this is going to be a jolt for a lot of people. Delta had an interesting statement telling its customers, you may experience inconsistent enforcement during the next 24 hours as this news is more broadly communicated.
And the CDC's highest do not travel list level is cleared out. The next level down, 3, still has countries on it, including Cuba, Mexico, and Japan. America's listening to Fox News.
And now award-winning local news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 8:31. Chilly conditions right now in mid-Missouri. We're expecting a high today of around 57 degrees. Good morning, everyone, and here's some of the stories we are working on for you. In this 8 o'clock hour, we've still got one lane of eastbound I-70 blocked at the 102-mile marker near Boonville. A tractor-trailer is on its side. Expect some delays if you're in that area. Meantime, Fulton police need your help in solving a deadly home invasion. It happened last night, West 9th Street. Fulton Chief Bill Ladwig says the incident happened about 8:50 p.m. A female occupant in the home assaulted, 2 men shot, 1 life-threatening wounds. No names being released at this time. An executive of Tractor Supply says it's business as usual right now for Missouri's 60 Orscheln stores, the 2 in Columbia, 1 in Jefferson City. A proposed merger between the 2 companies, Orscheln and Tractor Supply, still under review. Tractor Supply's focus right now, regulatory approval. Construction set to begin soon on the new tech center in fast-growing Ashland. Rankin Technical College President Don Pohl says Rankin didn't choose Ashland, that it was Ashland that chose Rankin. He says this is all about economic development.
Ultimately, you've got a great school system with Ashland, and we know that if the school system is all about technical education, and they really push technical education, we want to take and recognize what the school system is already doing and add on to that.
Rankin's Ashland campus will focus on IT, construction, nursing, and manufacturing. And ZZ Top will be coming to the Missouri State Fair in Sedalia this August. When I read that, I almost thought, do any millennials remember ZZ Top? He was a big name back in the 1980s. They were a big name in the 1980s. Our news brought to you this morning by Tiger Towing. When you can't get going, call Tiger Towing, 449-3754. Our news time, 8:33. In sports, Cardinal baseball, they open up a 3-game series tonight at Florida. First pitch 5:40 right here on 93.9 The Eagle. And, of course, the pregame coverage at 4:40 today. Kevin Wheeler will have that for you from the Cardinals Baseball Network. Royals, they're playing tonight. They open up a series at Kaufman against the Twins. First pitch 7:10 at Kauffman Stadium. Neither team in action last night. The Cardinals and Royals were both off. Royals haven't played since Saturday because they were off yesterday. Sunday was all that torrential rain on Easter Sunday, so they weren't able to play. So no games to recap this morning. 93.9 The Eagle Sports is also brought to you this morning by Tiger Towing. When you can't get going, call Tiger Towing, 573-449-3754. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:34. Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com. Find a job, post your job opening today. Quick reminder for those of you who travel between Jeff City and Columbia, road work continues today in that $15 million project between Jeff City and Columbia. Also look for a big presence of first responders, police, fire at the Columbia Regional Airport 4 to 7 today. They'll be simulating a plane crash. Be prepared for that, and we'll have an updated story on that shortly on our website as well, 939theeagle.com. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Cheers on an airplane. And the pilot comes on and says, hey, you don't have to wear a mask anymore. One of our listeners, Sandy, says, because Stephanie had been talking about this over the past few days, wanting to know if, hey, I'm supposed to be flying. It'd be great if that mask mandate was over. So that's a victory. A judge who incidentally was appointed by Trump. And you don't have to be appointed by Trump to follow the rule of the law. But the judge, in this case, said the rule of law, CDC had no power to do this. I think a couple of victories yesterday as it relates to some of those bigger issues that we can all relate to. So Columbia Regional Airport, Mike Parks, director of the airport, joined us earlier this morning. He is following the guidance from the CDC. The TSA is not enforcing masks at the Columbia Regional Airport, nor are they doing it nationwide. There are no city rules telling you you have to wear a mask when you go into the airport. And then the airline, American Airlines, I got this from them this morning. Here's what they told me. Face mask no longer required for customers and employees at U.S. airports and on domestic flights. Thank goodness. But I think another victory, there's a college professor He teaches at Shawnee State University in Ohio. It's kind of a smaller kind of a school, probably a real tight-knit campus, and, a lot of folks know a lot of folks. Several years ago, when things really started getting crazy, some dude said, I want to be referred to as she and her. And this professor said, well, I'm a professor. Two things. I'm pretty smart and I'm pretty educated. And I know for a fact that you are not a girl. I learned that. Even before I became a professor, I knew how to figure it out. I know some people that sit on the Supreme Court don't know how to tell the difference between a male and a female, but I do. So I'm not going to call you a female. Said I'm not doing it. Also said, no, by the way, and I have my freedom of speech, too. Mm-hmm. You have your freedom of speech. You want to call yourself a chick, a she, he, it, him, it, whatever you want. You have that freedom of speech. You go right ahead. However, your freedom of speech as a point of fact, and it's so hard for some people to digest facts, doesn't say I have to call you she, her, him, it, he, that, whatever. I don't have to do that. You can put whatever you want in your emails. I love those emails when people are, and here's how I refer to myself as she or her. Well, okay. That's what I'm going to refer to you whatever you are. I have free speech too. And a lot of these idiots, they forget that. And the third thing this professor said, the third reason I'm not doing it is because it's against my religious beliefs. I'm not going to call you a girl when you are not a girl. So Shawnee State University in Ohio punished him, disciplined him. So he said, well, I'm going to sue you. And it went before the courts, and the court said, yeah, they owe you some money. Paid him almost $500,000. So I think two very big victories for, and again, I keep saying conservative beliefs, conservative ideology. It's American ideology. It's smart ideology. So I think two big victories yesterday. Welcome to the show. This is Wake Up Columbia. Brian Hauswirth. I got something you're going to dig here. Okay. Coming up in just a few minutes. There's Hannah, the producer.
Good morning.
My name is Branden Rathert, 874-9390, 874-9390. Jeremy says via text, now we just need to get rid of masks at hospitals. There was some legislation, I think, in Jefferson City this week. I don't know if it's called No Patient Left Behind, but a lot of folks over the past 2 years, when they had loved ones that were dying, weren't allowed into the hospital room. And there's legislation now to say, no, listen, it's my family, and when they're dying or when they're sick, because, number one, you don't know, and I'm not saying it happens, but and I know this because I've recently been going through this with my mom, Hauswirth. You've got some health issues with your mom, and if I'm not in that room and you aren't telling me what's going on, I'm freaking out. What's going on? And and what are you all saying to my mom while she's in there? And if she's not in her right mind, who of y'all's making the decisions? So there's some legislation recently in Jefferson City that would address this.
Yeah, Brad Hudson has a bill. There are actually several bills on that. Brad Hudson, who you had on of the State of the State, you had him on. He's from Cape Fear down in southwest Missouri, and kind of a rising star, a young guy in the Republican Party from southwest Missouri. I don't know how far those bills will go, only because I expect them to pass the House. Again, the House doesn't come back today until noon. They were off for Easter Monday. They come back at noon. Senate doesn't come back to work until 4 o'clock today. But like anything, right now, and they haven't done the map yet, like anything, this bill, while it does have support in probably both chambers, I don't know if it'll be able to get across the finish line simply because the Senate is there's just nothing going through over there. Very, very little. Very little.
My name is Branden Rathert. Glad you are here. Hold up, Brian. I got something that you might like. Okay. Seriously, it's I want you to check this out. But first, so we do this sometimes 7:50. If there's an episode worth putting out, we will release the episode of Psaki v. Tucci here on 93.9 The Eagle. Most mornings we do it like at 7:50-ish or so, and got one this morning, but there was some other more important local stuff that we wanted to make sure we covered. So yesterday, White House, a couple of interesting things happened between Fox's Pete Ducey and Jen Psaki at the White House. But they're getting news in this in the White House press briefing, and so Psaki's starting to ask, hey, CDC or this judge ruled against what you guys are doing. It's another ruling against you all, by the way. your take on this, and it got kind of fun between the two of them.
You said about this mask ruling out of a federal court in Florida that it's a disappointing decision, and you say you continue to recommend that people wear masks. Why is it that we can sit here in the White House briefing room with no masks, but people can't sit in an airplane cabin with no masks?
By the way, great questions, because you can walk around, you can walk into restaurants, you have to wear a mask, but when you sit down, apparently somebody had figured out the virus, it's this high. So you can sit down, take your mask off, you're good. Anyhow, it's all idiotic, and Fox's Pete Ducey is asking her to clarify that idiocy.
Well, Peter, I'm not a doctor. You're not a doctor. That I'm aware of. If you're a doctor, I wasn't aware of that until today. Right. Okay, not a doctor. Just making sure.
So, and you heard it. So she's saying, I didn't know you're a doctor, and they start, funning a little bit. Well, somebody in the background says, nor does he play one on TV. Which, and I don't suspect Hannah, have you ever heard the I don't play, I'm not even though I'm not a doctor, I play one on TV or something. You remember that thing? There was a thing before your time. Okay.
Nope.
So you heard the person saying
I do remember that. Trapper John M.D.
Well, I thought it was Trapper John M.D. or somebody.
I think, is it Marcus Welby? One of those old shows.
That's what I would have guessed, Marcus Welby. But somebody started, and they played a doctor. I don't know, maybe somebody can text 874-9390, but I remember it was a real handsome dude. And it was a commercial for Vicks cough medicine.
Yes, yeah, I remember the ad.
For adults.
I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV.
And it became, so like the early 80s, mid-80s, it became like a parody of itself.
Exactly. Saturday Night Live did stuff on that. They did.
I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV.
Not a doctor, but I play one on. I just thought it was great. So it was a great callback there yesterday in the White House. So anyhow, I thought you would get it.
I enjoyed that. I cannot remember who that was, though. But Saturday Night Live did, I think they did impersonations of that guy. And they also did impersonations of the People's Court, too. I mean, I remember they would kind of rotate, but great stuff. Thank you, sir.
You bet. And that was some of what went down in the White House yesterday. This also happened, as we told you, I think even last week, those Border Patrol agents who were accused falsely by national news outlets who, by the way, within a matter of days, knew that the story that everybody was putting forward was not true, and they did not go back and correct it. Now, so remember that last year, border agents, oh my God, they're whipping brown people. And of course, progressive news outlets, they ate this up because they love that stuff. Oh, it's a white man, and they're beating up on brown. We love that because it never happens the other way around. And actually it does, and actually happens way more than people think. It's just we don't report on it as much because that's uncomfortable for us. These guys have been exonerated. They did nothing wrong, and we knew it then, but now officially. And remember, the big guy and Jen Psaki said some pretty damning things about these folks without using phrases like alleged whipping or having been accused of whipping. They didn't do those phrases. Just came out and lambasted these people who go home at the end of